Hello everyone, welcome back to Data Fest. It's indeed inspiring to see you back again. So today we have a guest session on Agile methodology in software development lifecycle in project management. So Data Fest is the celebration of our 8th Foundation Day. So in the Data Fest, so far we have completed boot camps on Python programming, R programming, SQL, big data technologies such as Hadoop, Hive, Flink, and also we have had some guest sessions on how to start a startup, also on smart cities and career pathways and artificial intelligence and its business perspectives. So those of you who were not able to attend our previous guest lectures or our boot camps, they can watch recorded sessions on our YouTube channel. So coming back to today's guest session, today's session is on Agile methodology in software development lifecycle in project management. So today's lecture is guest speaker is Mansi Bhonsle Ma'am. She is assistant professor at GS Rai Soni College of Engineering. And she have been working as project coordinator since past 7 years. She is twice GATE qualified and has around 54 paper published with Scopus, IEEE, Springer Conference. Currently, she is having 160 Google citations for paper published, granted 1 patent and 4 copyrights. She have constant touch with industry technology. So she have hands-on experience in various testing and project management tools used in the industry. Also, she is about to complete her PhD in deep learning. So it is my pleasure to welcome Mansi Bhonsle Ma'am, and I request her to start with the session. Over to you, Mansi Ma'am.
Thanks, Suyo. Uh, okay, is my screen is visible?
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So today's topic is actually the Agile methodology for the SDLC of the project management. So first of all, I am being a teacher in an engineering college and a project coordinator for 7 years. I was working on the tools which are required in the industry to effectively handles the projects of the industry. So I found this agile methodology is very effective in the industry, and it is a now a trademark, or you can say it is a trend going on that many or around 85 companies are using agile methodology for their project completion. So I have choose this topic for my today's session. So as per the PPT's flow that outlines are agile methodology at industry, what exactly the basic things about the agile methodology, then examples of the agile methodology, that is how many others are there in the agile methodology, and we will going to see the famous agile scrum methodology and its process and its working, and then agile ceremonies, that is how the scrum methodology or the how the projects are handled day to day in industry, and then benefits of the agile methodology, and last point will be my it is a project management tool or the emerging technology which will be helping out the student that what exactly technology is needed as a developer or as a tester or as a fresher. It is I am going to explain in the project management using emerging technology. So I will start with the agile methodology at the industry. Okay. So first of all, before I go further in the agile, the basic SDLC module of the project management. It was the waterfall model. So in the waterfall model, we go sequentially, like we gather the requirement from the client, then we design those requirements as per the modules or as per the features or the tabs or the websites or the IoT projects, like that. Then we start the implementation part, and after the implementation, the testing will be done. And then after the testing, we deploy the project on the client side, and then maintenance after that. So this was the flow of the previous project management tool. But this, the disadvantage of this is very that the other persons who are working in the testing or who are working as a developer in the implementation team, so they have to wait for to complete the previous complete phase, that is the design. If you are not completing design, you cannot start the implementation. If you are not completing the implementation, you cannot start the testing. So that was the main that is a time consuming, you can see, in the waterfall approaches. And once the requirements are final, okay, second disadvantage of the waterfall model is the once you finalize the requirement from the client, you cannot change those, because your design is going to change, then implementation is going to change, all things or all the phases going to change when the client wants to change the requirement. So that though two disadvantage will be removed in the many of your software developing model, like a spiral model, V model, fish model. But I'm going to take the agile. So in agile, what exactly I will tell you that it is all phases we can start simultaneously in the agile methodology. Okay, that I'm going to teach you in the next PPTs. Okay, so all this requirement, design, implementation, verification, and maintenance, we can start simultaneously on a single project. That is the magic of the agile methodology. Okay, and the second disadvantage we will remove in the agile, that the customer or the client can change their requirements, can add their requirements at any phase of the project, okay, till the end of the project. That is the you can see the business advantage in the agile methodology. So client can give any requirement at the any phase, and the project is not going to change at all, and you can complete the project in time. So that is the agile methodology advantages. So that I'm going to teach you now. Okay, so before going further, just I want to ask the questions. Am I audible? The students can. Okay,
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
okay, yeah. So the one you can see KBC question, that is uh, in the software industry, what is the agile? So is this a programming language? Is this a software? Or is this a process or hardware? Okay, so the answer of this is it is the process. Okay, so it is not a programming language, so you don't require the syntax. It is not a software, so you don't need to learn the tabs and the interconnection. And it is not a hardware, so you don't require the connection of those hardware. So it is just a process. You just have to understand this process of the agile. Okay, so this is agile, means it is a process, it is a methodology. Okay, now the next part will be, we'll seeing that examples of the sorry, examples of the agile methodology. So in the agile also there are many types. Okay, actually the agile scrum methodology, lean software development, Kanban, extreme programming, crystal, the dynamic system development method, and the feature driven development. So all these are handling the project management only in the industry. But the most famous is methodology is agile scrum methodology. So that's why I have chosen the agile scrum methodology as my today's topic for the project management in the industry. So next we'll definitely see that Agile Scrum methodology. So in the Agile Scrum methodology, as I said, we just focused on the client requirement. Okay, just on the client requirement, because as per the client requirement only we are delivering the projects in the industry. Okay, so if the client is happy with the requirement and the desired output, the business will be very high in the industry. Okay, so mostly the Agile Scrum methodology focused on the requirement of the client. Okay, so mostly we optimize the requirement of the client. Okay, that is called as a value addition. You can say we can give the value to the customer requirements at any time, at any phase, at any position. You can optimize those requirements from the client. Then we minimize our business non-value addition. That means whatever the activities we are performing. Okay, so you don't require regularly do that, because you're this is the continuous process in the Agile. So nobody will doing the rework to adjust that newly added the requirement from the client. And third one, it is we eliminate the customers non value addition. That means if the customer is don't want any requirement we are giving or we are additional, so we just remove that from that requirement. Okay, so this is the Agile Scrum methodology in short. Actually, this is not the complete, but in short we give the total focused on the customer requirement, and at a time we focus on some requirement or some features given by our client. So that is the Agile Scrum methodology basic. Then what exactly the key features or the components of the Agile Scrum methodology? Okay, that means because this is the process. So in the process there are people also involved. There are some documentation also is required or format also required, and there are some process or the meetings, you can see the process also is required. So it is a combination of the three things that comes in the key features of the Scrum methodology. Okay, so I start with the persons. Okay, so persons means now in the project, as you are doing your final year projects, so there are team leader or some team members you are having, guide you are having. Okay, so such type of similar types of persons are there in the industry also, but they have some different names in the industry. Okay, once you join the industry you will come to know that these wordings are similar what I am telling you right now. Okay, so the roles means the persons which are involved in the Scrum methodology of the project, or you can say in the project team, these persons will you will get to find. So roles are the product owner, sometimes it is called as a business analyst also, who is actually taking the all the requirements from the client and giving the description to his team. Okay, that is the main you can say whole and soul communication between the client and our developing team. Okay, and then the next person is a Scrum Master. Sometimes it is synonymous as a project manager, which is handling or which is leading the technical team. Okay, technical team for that particular project. And the team means it is involved all the team, that is a developing team, testing team, and the operational team. Operation means DevOps team actually comes in the team. Okay, so the most or the more people are working in the team. Scrum Master, nothing but the project manager, and the product owner, it is nothing but the business analyst in this case. Okay, these are the person, that is first feature of the Scrum methodology. Second feature is the artifacts. The artifacts are the product backlog, then sprint backlog, and the burn down charts. Okay, now the product backlog, sprint backlog, and the burn down charts, these are actually the logical things which are get mapped to a you can say project management tool like a Jira, Asana, then HLM. These tools are connected with these artifacts. Okay, some tools are there. So as per your companies, you will get to know, okay, which tool is assigned for this type of the artifacts. Okay, so the product backlog means all the requirements of the client. It is in the product backlog. The sprint backlog means the all requirements we cannot implement at a time, okay, because the project length is either 1 year, 6 months, 3 months, or the depending on the that complexity of that project. So the sprint backlog, actually, you are taking some features or some requirements of the product backlog into the sprint backlog, so there is a process of selecting the use requirements from the product backlog to the sprint backlog. So that process is called as a estimation. I will be coming to that point in my next ppts. And the burn down chart means whatever requirements you are chosen, okay, in the sprint backlog, have you completed that or not? That will show in the burn down chart at the end of the sprint. Okay, now what do you mean by sprint? Okay, what do you mean by sprint? I will be explaining in my next in detail, actually, in the next ppt. Okay, so these artifacts are nothing but the user requirement, but along with this you have to learn some tools, project management tool, or some documentation tool. Excel sheet is always there, but some Jira tool, Asana, then HLM, then Bugzilla, all these tools are used in this artifacts for the backlog or the burn down charts. Okay, now this is the persons are involved, you got the requirement. Now what to do with the requirements? Obviously you will implement those requirements for your client. Okay, now for this implementation there is a process, there is the process or the continuous process, you can say. So that comes in the ceremonies. Okay, so that ceremonies are four types of ceremonies are present in the Scrum, Agile Scrum methodology. Okay, so the first one is a sprint planning, then second one is a sprint review, then retrospective, and daily Scrum meeting. So these meeting I am taking detail in the next PPTs. So just remember these three factors are very very important when you are learning the Agile Scrum methodology. Okay, now in detail, now I'm going, that is what is the role of the product owner. So the product owner, obviously I told you that he will take the all requirement from the client, that is a product specification. Okay, product or project, it is the same. Then he will decide the priority of the requirement, whatever requirement. So which requirement is going to implement first in the first sprint, second sprint, or the sprint 3. Then it will he will take the responsibility of the whole project. So that is the big of the releasing date or the whatever happening in the production meeting or the deployment meeting, it he will take the all the responsibility. Then Scrum Master, it builds the, it helps the team to build the IT or the project faster. Then he gave the assistant for the helping hand, you can see, for the implementation of the requirement of the client. Then it improves the workflow because it is a faster process, it is a continuous process. So he has to improve the workflow. Then he removed the impedances, that means something blocking issue is there in the team, that means some technical issue is there, some external issue is there, or hardware issue is there. So he will remove, he will helping out to the team to remove those such types of the blocker issues. And the team members means obviously build the things, that is the developer, build the things right or wrong, these are tester. The cross functional team, that is nothing but the DevOps team. Okay, so in one shot, you are now got the picture of what exactly the projects are there in the industry. So only these only these peoples are there on your project. Okay, so once you join or already joined the company, so you are getting me know that what I'm exactly talking. Okay, now the Scrum active eye. So I've explained the roles. Then product backlog, as I said, all requirements are here. Okay, all the requirements are here in the product backlog actually. Those the product owner takes from the client. Okay, all the requirements. So if I give the example of the e-commerce site like Amazon or then Flipkart, Meso, something like that. So there are many connectivity or many web pages interconnected or interlinked. So first you start with the login page or the product display page. Then it goes to the product details. Then it goes to the cart. Then it goes to the billing. And after the billing, it goes to the shipping and the mailing or the verification of mails and OTP, that thing. So there is a sequence also, and there is some requirements of the clients also, okay, that I want this that. So all that requirements comes in the product backlog. And the sprint backlog means you will choose only one module or one feature or some requirements which are related to each other. That means on the login page you have the product display also, so you will choose the login and product display in a one sprint, and you will implement or you can focus on those requirements only. Okay, you will not go to the card, you will not go to the billing, you will not go to the shipping. Okay, so you will start with the login and the product display in one sprint. Okay, so the sprint now I will tell you. So sprint backlog, that only the required or few requirements from the total requirements that comes in the sprint backlog. Now actually the what do you mean by the sprint? Okay, the sprint is nothing but the time bound entity in the Agile methodology. Okay, so time bound means what? It is usually in the industry, it is around 15 days to 30 days. You have to implement whatever the requirement you have chosen in the current sprint. So as I given the example, I have chosen the login page and the product display page in my first sprint, that is a sprint one. So I will implement or I will focus, I will design, I will implement, I will test, I will deploy that requirements only in within this 15 to 30 days. Okay, and ma'am, what is that 24 hours? Okay, so that 24 hours means it is a daily scrum meeting actually. That means continuously you are working on those requirements which are present in the current sprint. Okay, and once you finish that sprint, you will be working on the next sprint. So next sprint will be your adding cart or the cart module you will take for the implementation. Okay, and remember all these modules or all these sprints are connected to each other. Okay, they are not independent, because this is only one project and you are working on the all modules of the project, but you are working incrementally. Okay, so sometimes agile methodologies are called as an incremental model also, because at a time you are choosing one requirement or some requirement at a time. You are implementing those, designing those, testing those, maintaining those, and then you are going for the next further. Okay, the connectivity I will tell you in the my last ppts. Okay, so this is one about the sprint. One minute. Now, this is the example or this is the diagram where one sprint I will be telling you in detail. Okay, so already you know that who are involved in your project team. Okay, and how the sprint backlog is developed. Okay, now I will start with this. So stakeholder means our client, product owner, PO. He will be creating the product backlog. Okay, and in the sprint planning meeting, this is the first meeting or grooming session is there, actually grooming session. Then sprint planning meeting is happen where the PO explains us that is what is exactly the user requirements of the client. And then the team and all the team, actually nothing but scrum master, PO and the team members are choosing the user stories or the requirements which are going to be implemented in the current sprint in the sprint backlog. Okay, and after choosing the user stories or the requirements, you will execute or you will implement that sprint only. Okay, so you will start your SDLC process now. That means you will design those requirements, you will implement those requirements, you will test after implementation, or simultaneously you can test those requirements and then deploy also those requirements whichever are present in the sprint backlog. Okay, so this is 2 to 4 weeks time duration for every company actually. And this one day, it is called as a daily scrum. Daily scrum, it is again the scrum ceremonies actually. So here daily for 30 minutes, the product owner or the scrum master arrange the meeting and ask us ki what you have done yesterday, what you are going to do today, and what exactly the blocker issues or anything is pending or anything is help required or some issues are there to complete their task. So that called as a one day or every day there is a daily scrum meeting is there. Okay, after the completing that sprint, it will go to the production. It will go to the production where the client and our whole team will be giving the demo of that implemented sprint or implemented requirements. And here they will give the demo, and if it is a successful, then they will merge that so sprint one to the GitHub for the next our next process. Okay, because another requirements are remaining from this project, so they will wait for their completion. Okay, and after finishing the sprint, the retrospective meeting will happen. Okay, where we'll discuss that in the current sprint what exactly went wrong, what exactly went well, that is what was the good part of the sprint, this sprint, what was the bad part of this sprint, and what exactly we should avoid in the next sprint. Okay, because you have just implemented the login page and the product display page, you are not implemented now the card page, that card module or the client module or admin module or the shipping module. Okay, so some modules are remaining. So by learning from this current sprint what exactly you are taking the good things from this sprint to the next sprint, and which bad thing we are not going to do or repeat in the next sprint, that will discuss in the retrospective meeting. Okay, so in short there are four meetings of the agile ceremonies. Like I said, that is a sprint planning meeting, daily scrum meeting, then you can say it is a sprint review meeting where you give the demo, and after end of the every sprint there is a retrospective meeting. Okay, so this whole it is one sprint implementation, or you can say execution of this sprint. Okay, again I repeat, the sprint is process, it is not any programming language or not a hardware or not a software, it is a just a process you will be following in the industry. Okay, Now the next one is agile ceremonies. In short, I given the introduction in my previous diagram, but I will be taking you in details. Okay, so the first one is a sprint planning meeting where the you requirements from the customer it is given by our product owner. Just excuse me. Okay. And the requirements are gates converted into the user stories. Okay, now this user stories word it is new to you, but when you join the industry, it is a daily word you are using on which user stories you are working. Like that language will you will use when you join the industry. So the requirements are getting uh, converted into the user stories. Now, what do you mean by user stories? Okay, so basically, the user story is nothing but the customer requirement with description and which with the acceptable criteria. Okay, so I will give the example of the login requirement. That means, suppose the client wants the web page, and for the their login, they have certain criteria. That means their username should be their mobile number. That is, whoever user is accessing their website, their username must be their mobile number, and the password should having 8-digit character, where the one be caps lock, some special character will be there, then numbers will be there, and 8-digit or the 8 digit length will be there. So such type of requirement student sorry customer will give when he plan for the login page. So like that the user stories will come. So will user stories is nothing but the login, you can say login feature you will take as a one user stories. Okay, so like that there are many requirements from the client. Okay, so those are nothing but the user stories. We can break up the user stories in the subtask also. If the user story is very big, like a cart, like a billing, okay, you can break those user stories in the subtasks, and those all user stories comes in that sprint. Okay, so in the sprint planning, we decide that which user stories will get selected in the sprint one. Okay, sprint one. So choosing the user stories from the product backlog, because the all the customer requirements are there in the product backlog. So obviously you have to take some user stories, some requirement from the product backlog to the sprint backlog, because sprint wise release is there, sprint wise implementation execution is there. So at a time you will be working on the some user stories. Okay, so you will choose the user story in the sprint backlog, and you will going to implement those user stories in that 15 days. Okay, now how to choose the user stories? Okay, now because it is mostly depend on the team, because if your team is working and there are six developer, then three testers are there, and two DevOps teams, then product owner and the Scrum Master are the part of the team. So the teams previous submission or previous completion of the sprint they will consider, and the efforts of that particular team, then importance whatever they completed, complexity of that features, that is whatever the login page, card page you are seeing. So you will see the complexity, and then you go to estimation part. Okay, so like this sprint 1 there are 28 stories, then sprint 2 36 stories. It may be the card feature they are implementing in the sprint 2, then sprint 3 the billing part, Okay, so there are 28 user stories. Okay, so in the billing part, uh, user stories are nothing but the card details, then connectivity to the banking sites. Okay, like that, the features will get implemented in the sprint 3, and the sprint 4 will be your shipping field. Okay, so that means the verification of the users emails, then contacting, then messages, that is the persons are shipped, your package is shipped or packed or go to a delivered, like that we're going to implement in the sprint 4. So like that, these projects get divided into the small sprints and small user stories. Okay, so depending on the team's uh, previous velocity. So velocity is nothing but previously that team how many user stories they have completed in the previous sprint. Okay, so depending on that, they will be assigning the team the user stories. Okay, if you are not able to solve, that is suppose the velocity of particular team is only 15, you cannot assign the 28 user stories to that team, because the team is nothing but the number of people working on different stages of your project. And sometimes the new technology is also involved in the client technology. Okay, because sometimes client wants some different technology which is have to learn by the team. Okay, so that are issues in the efforts or the complexity. So these are the parameters you will see when you selecting the user stories in a particular sprint. Okay, so such type of you can say it is not as good as the industry, but this is happening in the industry, that how they choose the user stories. Mostly the project manager or the product owner or the business analyst, all they already has their mind or visualize all these things, and they distribute the user stories to the team leader. Okay, and the team leader obviously gives those tasks to his team. Now the second most important, that is a daily scrum meeting. That means every day all the team whichever are working on those project will get have one meeting at fixed time, and less than 30 minutes they just come to know that ki, on this user stories what to do. So what is in progress, or it is in the going in the testing environment or not, it is done or not. Okay, it is deployed or not, that you discuss in the daily scrum. Okay, so daily means it is actually the daily meeting, in fact actually. Okay, so what exactly the daily scrum meeting means? Okay, so it is has a fixed time. Okay, so around 10:30 they starts the daily scrum meeting actually. Okay, and less than 30 minutes is required just to discuss key, because at a time all team is working on one single user story. Okay, so it is not that case key one is working on some other stories or like that. So all are working on the same features, so they are connected, they are collaborated, they know what is the requirement of the client, what is the input, what is the output. So that is the required for the daily scrum. That is standing call. You some company has called the stand up call or standing call, but as picture shows it is not a standing call. You can sit and have meeting with your team actually. Then what exactly they discuss in this daily scrum meeting, that is a task what the team members, and it is an individual comment you can see. So the product manager or the product owner asks every team member, either it is a developer, tester, or DevOps team, or a scrum master. So he asked every team member what he did yesterday, and what he is going to do today, and any dependence is there or any blocker issue is there. So every team member is alert, he is working, and he is giving the comment, and what exactly he is going to do today, that he covers in the daily scrum. So mostly at the start of the day or start of your company time, this meeting is happening every day. Okay, so this is the second meeting, you can say, that is a daily scrum meeting in company. So mostly they have the task board, and as I said, for the daily meeting you required some project management tool or project tracking tool or the bug detection tool, because mostly the testing team only has this type of tool. But now this tool is very famous, so you can assign the user stories to the developer, and developer after developing those, it assigns to the testing. So on one platform only, all are connected on a single user stories. Okay, so that for this is required the Jira tool or Asana, HLM, Bugzilla. There are many tools that is available. So for the daily scrum, you are not just discussing, you are actually playing with those tools and giving the status, updating the status, all that is there in that tool. Now the burn down chart means what exactly the remaining efforts are there, what actual efforts you are putting into this user stories or the sprint. So all these are comes in the burn down chart. Okay, so some requirements is remaining to implement or having some blocker issues, you will discuss with your seniors and you discuss with the team, and you have to solve those issues. Okay, so that your that user stories or that requirement will get implemented before the sprint end. Okay, so this type of tools are required for the daily scrum meeting. Okay, so Jira, Asana, HLM, Bugzilla, Bugnet, Redmine, Mantis, Track, then backlogs. These are some project tracking tool, you can say, where all the teams are united to implement one sprint. Okay, the actually developing environment is different, then testing environment is different, production deployment and the deployment environment is actually different. But this is just, you can say that the user stories or the uh, in the statement the user story is given and developing, and they are discussing on that particular user stories, you can see. Okay, now the third one is a sprint review meeting. It is actually where you, when you finish or you are ready with your sprint input output. So whatever requirement you the client has given, this is the client. So client, whatever the client has given input or output, what exactly he wants, you are ready with all the features for that particular. What I take the example of login and product display page. If my login page and my display page is ready, I will show those pages to the client, and I will get the feedback from him that is it correct or is it as he required or not. Then if it is okay, then we'll go for the sprint 2 implementation. Okay, if he wants some changes, okay, as I said, waterfall module are not allowed client to change its requirement or change its whatever the small things in project. But in this sprint review meeting, if the client wants to change something or add something, okay, or delete something from the requirement or from the implementation, he can do that things in the sprint review meeting. Okay, so in the sprint review meeting, the team present or give the demo of the implemented sprint. The scrum master, product owner, the development team, customers are there. Then there some managerial committee also is there. Okay, so all are present for the sprint review meeting. Okay, if it is not up to the mark as per the client requirement, you have to work immediately to complete those changes. Okay, that is sometimes called as a hot fixing of the requirement. Okay, then the fourth meeting, that means after completing the sprint one, okay, or after deploying the sprint one, you will ask your team. Okay, here the clients are not involved, here the team is involved. So for the product owner, okay, or the scrum master, ask the team that is what worked well, what can be improved in the next sprint, or what should we stop doing something which is not required and which was not giving correct output or effective output. So we should stop those things. Or either it is not technical thing, it may be non technical thing also. That means sometimes the developing team and the testing team are not at their you can say the correct speed actually. That means developing team is very fast and the tester, there are only two or three testers, and there are 8 or 10 developers, then it is very mismatch ratio. So this type of issues also you can discuss in the retrospective meeting, not just technical, non-technical, external, and some other issues also you can freely discuss with your seniors, that is nothing but the product owner and the scrum master. Okay, and any suggestion obviously they will ask, because another sprints are remaining to execute or the implement. So all these four types of meetings are required in the agile. So now you can understand ki the agile scrum methodology, it is not a tool, it is not a software hardware, it is just a process you are following in the industry to complete your project. Okay, and uh, many companies are following this because it is giving the effective and the faster implementation or the faster release of your project to the client, and the quality also improve, because every day you are doing the something or something related to your project, so quality also is improved. And once you complete sprint 1, you will go to the sprint 2, all these are connected. Okay, so once you complete this sprint 2, any anything changes in the sprint 1, that also you will complete in the sprint 2. Okay, so those dependencies also are this one, and the deployment also very easy, because half of the part you are deployed, then one fourth, then one fourth. So it is very easy for the DevOps team also to deploy your project, because when you complete all the project and when you deploy it to the client side, then it is very difficult to understand the error handling also when at the production time. So that is the actually the benefits you can see of the agile methodology. Okay, so next point, obviously the benefits of the agile methodology. So first one is a quality improvement, because daily you're working on the project. So all are connected, all are dependent modules, all the user requirements, changes newly added. So all these are going in a correct way. So quality is improved for project. The customer satisfaction, obviously, because the business revenue is very very important for any company. So customer satisfaction, it is the biggest parameter for any company to gain the revenue from the customer. Then next one is a flexibility. So flexibility, it is for the customer also and the team also. The customer can add the requirements, and then update the requirements at any phase, any sprint. And the team, for the team, flexibility is means that you come to know that on the one platform you are working, so everyone's work you can understand and you can do in her absent. Okay, in his or her absent. Then adaptability means you can adapt any user stories or user requirements uh, in a fast way, you can say. Then creativity and innovation, because as you go further you can say that ki, no, this will be not come in this. So anytime your creativity you can do that and you can change in your project. Then lowers the cost of the project development, because at a time all the teams members are working silently, so nobody is sitting ideal. So whatever the pay you are getting for that particular project, it is 100% your efforts. Okay, it's lowers the cost of the project development also. Okay, and improves the organization collaboration, because on one single platform all the teams working simultaneously, so obviously it improves the organization collaboration with each other. Then employee gratification, so obviously if you work as a team you feel better, as because that is no one is sitting ideal, so the employer is so happy that everyone is working and you are getting output. So that is there. And incremental means after finishing the one sprint you are going for the second sprint, like that you will complete the project. So it is an incremental methodology. So that's why the agile is very very famous in the industry nowadays. And the last point of my session is a project management using emerging technology. That is what exactly the project tools or the project management required, or the other things other than this agile process. What tools or what technical things are required for the project, I will be explaining now. So the first one is a communication technology platform can build the project teams with the stakeholders located in the various places over the world. That means all the team members can work on the Jira for the implementation. Now remember, Jira is not a what it is, a technical tool or something. It is just a project or a debug tracking tool actually. Okay, so user stories are discussed here, then any defect is there. So in Jira there are many useful components are there. So here we can go further for your on your user stories. Okay, next one is your cloud collaboration tools and other innovation have begun to replace the servers, like that is own servers companies, AWS cloud and the GitHub. So when you complete your sprint one implementation, you deploy those sprint one code, whatever the attached libraries, all the tools into the GitHub, your own company's GitHub, which is available spaces. They will provide for that particular company, and you just wait for your sprint to implementation. And it is just very safe. Your code, whatever, it is very safe at GitHub. It is very famous now. So these are the techniques actually. Then share updates, email documents, the critical information with the project team. So Teams, it is a tool actually. So for the communication for the project team, in between the project team, we use mostly Teams. Actually, emails are there, but we mostly comfortably work on the Teams. Then use of the various analytical reports, because sometimes the project is done, but what exactly after uh, database is filled with so many records, what exactly you are getting output, or it is output is correct or not, how can you understand? So that time you require the analytical report. That means in short, when your project is deployed and your client in performance testing, we do that. And actually when the client or users data is so large, how to get the exact analytical reports for your particular application or the queries. For that purpose you require the AI, obviously. Okay, so these are the data scientists now. And how to represent your requirements or the outputs to the client. Then your Tableau and the Power BI, it is a very powerful tool for the visualization. Okay, that means how to predict their behavior or outcomes of your project, that comes in the Tableau and the Power BI. Okay, so other than this is the after finishing your sprint or something like that. Okay, but before that, the another programming language or any other uh, technology you have to learn. Okay, so this is actually the one sprint life cycle, you can say. That means from the product backlog, you choose the user stories in the sprint backlog by doing some estimation in the sprint planning meeting, and then you go further. You will start designing, then development, then testing and release, then again planning. Then if it is correct, then after the retrospective meeting, it will go to the your GitHub. Okay, that is a code. Then new branch is created for that particular your sprint one or that particular project. Then it get deployed, then pull on this, and this CI pipeline and CD pipeline, mostly the developer and tester work still here. Okay, okay, here. CID, CID, that is a continuous integration and continuation deployment. So continuous integration means what? The sprint one is completed, another sprint two completed, it will pipeline to the previous sprint one. Like that, your all sprint will complete in the GitHub, and then you will give the your project product to your client. Okay, so this is complete your agile methodology with the Scrum meeting. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much, ma'am. I on behalf of Indeed Inspiring Infotech, I thank Mansi ma'am for this rich in knowledge session. So now we should wind up this session. I also thank all the participants who have joined us on Zoom as well as on the YouTube. So I thank Mansi ma'am once again, and also thank all the participants for joining us today. In the bootcamp and in the database session, we will have more guest lectures also. So I request all of you to stay tuned on our social media. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks you for such a good opportunity. Thanks a lot.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.